Kansas City Sports Update Studios. Welcome to Kingdom Radio, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. Brought to you by Arrowhead Update. Join Kris and Richard on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Player FM, CastBox, and all third-party applications. Check us out on Facebook platforms such as Kansas City Sports Update and Arrowhead Update. And if you cannot find us there, Google or search Kingdom Radio and Kansas City Chiefs, and you will find us. Welcome to the Kingdom. Kingdom.
How are we doing, Kansas City? Welcome to Kingdom Radio. I'm your host, Richard Smith, with my senior NFL analyst and co-host, Kris Chavez. Kris, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. We're sitting on a victory over the Patriots. I feel like we won the regular season Super Bowl. Go Chiefs!
Hey, 9-4 feels great. And like Kris just stated, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the New England Patriots 23-16, and also won their fourth straight AFC West division title. And with, hey, look, and I want to say also that all happened in the midst of their gear being sent to New Jersey before the game. So, hey, shout out to Alan Wright on that one, the equipment manager. I'm glad everything got worked out and the equipment got back to New England before this game started, because the Chiefs would have had to forfeit this game. Kris, could you imagine the Chiefs having to forfeit a game because the equipment wasn't at the stadium?
There would have been riots all throughout Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas, Iowa. I think across the country, because I think on this particular Sunday, 90% of the country was rooting for the Chiefs.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what they were wanting is exactly what they got. The Chiefs snapped New England's home winning streak of 21 games. And, hey, for me, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And Mahomes, hey, becomes the first quarterback under 25 to beat Brady and Belichick at home. In their era, which we're really going to dig deeper on here in just a little bit, Kris. I know you're fired up about that, and as I am. But look, Travis Kelce as well. Travis Kelce hasn't got as much attention this season because of everything else that's been going on within our team. But Kelce became the first tight end ever to have 4 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving years in a row. I'm sorry. I couldn't get that out for some reason.
Hold on. I really hate to correct you, but he's 11 yards short.
He's 11 yards short? He didn't get it?
He didn't get it.
Oh, my gosh.
He's 11 yards short. It's going to happen this Sunday against Denver, which, honestly, I love that even more because it's going to be at home, and it's going to be against Denver.
Which is great.
Against the rival. So, to me, it means a little bit more.
And we get to see what Drew Lock is made of at Arrowhead. I'm excited to see that, too. I can't wait.
Absolutely.
So, let's talk about this game a little bit. Let's talk about this game because there's a lot of interesting things that happened. And we're kind of going to skim through this and then we're going to touch base on the officiating and reviews and how that really turned the tide for the Chiefs and ultimately helped them seal this victory. But out of the gate, pass interference penalties were, a monkey on the Chiefs' back. And because of a pass interference call, it set up Tom Brady for his trick flea flicker play to score the first points of the game. And kind of talk about that. Were you getting a little nervous there at the beginning, especially after that when Mahomes threw his first interception? What was going through your mind?
After their first drive, I wasn't too concerned. It was just a matter of, okay, Patriots are doing what Patriots do. Our run defense was looking fantastic. They weren't running the ball. Brady only really completed one major pass in this entire drive.
Right.
And it was for the touchdown. Aside from the penalties, both of which were on third downs, third and longs, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, they would have been 30 and out. out on the first one. The second one, it would have been another punt.
Right.
And not that I'm going to be splitting hairs here, but the first one on Breland, it was kind of a nitpicky call. I mean, I could have seen it go. I could have seen it being not called. Mm-hmm. The second one on Charvarius Ward absolutely was a foul.
Right.
And then, so they score on the flea flicker, and then come around on the third play, and Mahomes throws the interception. Okay, I'm getting a little worried here. What's going on? But then, well, things took a little turn, and Patriots went 3-and-out after losing 8 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, and at this point, defense is holding strong, and so I'm feeling really good at this point about what we're doing and how we came prepared for this game.
And it was, kind of a turning point right there. I would say it was a turning point in the wrong direction, but it really wasn't, because we held New England, and we got the ball back, and then we scored. We finally get on the board with McCole Hardman, and that was, in my mind, when I realized, okay, we started out slow. It wasn't looking pretty, but we're back in it. And I never really counted Kansas City out, but the alarms definitely were going off when Mahomes threw that first interception. But then in turn, after we score, we capitalize off of a Tom Brady interception. So go ahead and walk us through those things and kind of tell Chiefs Kingdom what was happening, in the midst of the Hardman touchdown and then Brady throwing his interception.
Well, I'm going to jump back one drive before the Hardman touchdown, just because I think that this one's really important to touch on.
Okay.
Patriots were driving down and they were in field goal range, and K-Pass gets another blocked field goal.
That's right.
2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
And getting that block was very important, as we'll touch on later on. But that's 3 points that the Patriots don't get. And then it ends up being a 10-point swing because the Chiefs then come back and get a touchdown on the Hardman play that you were talking about, which was fantastic. And in the pregame show that we talked about, we needed somebody to step up, and Hardman definitely was that guy in this moment. He broke out for, I believe it was a 48-yard touchdown. And then on the very next play, after the kickoff, Brady goes and gives it right back to us.
Which was great. That's exactly the momentum shift we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was made by Bashaud Breeland, who was called for the earlier pass interference. And honestly, after that first drive, Breeland really started to come into his own and was shutting down the wide receivers.
He really had he did have a great day.
He did. He had a fantastic day. And the interception wasn't even the highlight of the day, but we'll get to that.
So we get the ball back after, Brady throws that interception, and we have a short field in front of us. And this is when Kelsey takes the direct snap in for 6, which was a greatly designed play. Kelsey ran it perfectly, and it was an easy touchdown for 6. And so then at that point, we get the extra point, and we're up 17-7, and we're at a point where we have 17 unanswered points, against a New England Patriots team, that is obviously a dynasty and been a monkey on our back. So, being down, what we were for, the entire first quarter, and then for us to come back and put these points on the board, it was really a great scenario and fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely very important for the Chiefs to continue. I don't know what exactly is going on, but we are doing fantastic in the second quarter and putting up points.
I love it.
I think that they were talking about it in the game where the Chiefs were the highest scoring team in the league in the second quarter.
Yes.
I don't know how the heck they keep track of all those stats, but I know somebody gets paid money to do that. Good for them. But the Chiefs are just magical in the second quarter.
And they really are. And, with that being said, I'm really going to add on to that. The Chiefs actually handed the Patriots their worst second quarter that they've ever had. And like you said, whoever keeps those stats, I'm sure somebody does with crazy stats, but we did give the New England Patriots the worst second quarter they've ever had. And we seem to be the monkey on the Patriots' back at some points too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely had their number the last couple of years, whether it was with Alex Smith, Kareem Hunt, or now with Patrick Mahomes. And we've beat them 2 out of the last 3 years in New England in the regular season, which has been fantastic to see.
That's definitely given Chiefs Kingdom some confidence, rolling up against a team that is obviously aging and out of their prime, but still, serious enough contenders to make another Super Bowl run like they are this season. So the Chiefs score 20 unanswered points because they kick a field goal and they go into halftime, and the Chiefs have the lead 20-7. And the fans booed Brady and the Patriots off the field at halftime. What's your thoughts of that? That's look, we obviously 20-7, great way to go into the half. Plus we had the ball first after the half, so things were looking perfect for Kansas City. But let's talk about the New England Patriots getting booed off the field during halftime. What's that all about?
Well, you also look at the another drive that the Patriots had where on the Kansas City 27, they went for it on 4th and 7 instead of going or taking the field goal. That's another 6 points that they missed out on right there.
That's very true.
And I understand where Belichick is coming from on this deal because he knows that, okay, the Chiefs' offense is doing something against my defense that I can't do anything to stop right now. I have to get points on the board. I need to put up big points on the board, and I need to start turning the momentum of this game. So I understand where he's coming from on that deal. But you have to be smarter than that decision. It's one of the few times where Belichick actually made a bad decision. And ultimately it came back to bite him in the behind. But we'll talk about that in the second half as we get to that. But that's 6 points that they missed out on. And then throughout the entire first quarter, the first half, the Patriots offense, aside from that first drive, looked awful.
Right, they did.
You have a blocked field goal, followed up by an interception, followed up by giving it up on downs, and then a 3-and-out on a punt. After that first drive, the Patriots offense looked awful.
Yep, I agree.
And so, of course, the Boo Birds are going to come out. And at this point in the game, I'm feeling fantastic as a Chiefs fan.
Oh, for sure. I honestly expected, us to come out in that second half and put up more points than 3. But in the same respect, we're playing the Patriots, and I'm really proud of holding Tom Brady to 169 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. That's a great defensive game, for the Chiefs, and then holding James White to 33 yards rushing. I mean, what a defensive output the Kansas City Chiefs put up, against the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much to say about the defense in this game, and not to toot our own horns, but we've been saying all season long, this defense is for real. You just have to give it time.
Yeah.
And the last couple of weeks, people have been questioning, well, is this for real? Is this for real? You just played the Patriots where, yes, they're a little depleted on offense, but you're going up against the greatest of all time up until this point in Tom Brady.
Right.
And you hold him, like you said, to 169 yards passing and 4.7 yards per attempt.
I love it.
3 sacks and a QBR of 39.
That's what I love to see, out of the Chiefs against New England. But I'll tell you, we really do have their number. I'm really starting to think about some of the worst games that Tom Brady and Belichick have had, and they've been against the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another key component that I think a lot of people aren't even talking about is the defensive line coach that we snagged away from New England in Vernon Daly.
Mm-hmm.
His defensive line, now again, granted, the New England offensive line is really their Achilles heel. It's nowhere near as good as it's been in years past. But they absolutely owned the Patriots offensive line. And yeah, we didn't get a ton of sacks, but we had a ton of pressures, and we were affecting Brady.
Yeah, Brady did not feel comfortable in the pocket all day long, and that's exactly what needed to happen. You know, the pressure needed to be there. It needed to be there. And, you know, we weren't on the show together for the pregame. You had done the pregame for this, but I'm sure, you know, that was your biggest, you know, thing for our defense was just attack Tom Brady, because you get to Tom Brady, like we showed, it's over with, and there's no other element or, you know, that the Patriots have to really be versatile and take care of business against the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, and when you pressure Brady, it affects his timing, it affects his throws, and our secondary is good enough to be able to shut down those bad passes, jump those routes, and get those interceptions, as we saw. Get some pass breakups, again, like we saw and we'll see and talk about here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The defense had a tremendous game, especially in this first half, and again in the second half. They were consistent, and the offense had ups and downs, but the defense was consistent, and they did exactly what we needed them to do. They did their jobs.
Oh, yes, for sure. And so, look, we're looking great here at halftime, sitting at 20-7 lead, and so the Chiefs will be getting the ball, you know, first to start the second half. But here, let's play a little halftime clip here.
Kansas City, it is halftime. Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom Radio. We will return momentarily.
All right, and we are back from halftime. Let's start talking about the second half here. The Chiefs had the ball first, and I believe we stumbled on the first drive and gave the ball up. Is that correct?
No, we ended up getting the field goal on the first drive.
So that will be the last time the Chiefs score any points in the game, is the first drive of the second half. So that puts us up 23-7. And let's talk about, you know, some things that happened during this third quarter that changed the whole aspect of the game. And I would say, you know, partly in the third and in the fourth, but, you know, outside of that field goal, it was a lot of defense, bad calls, and reviews. So, Kris, I want to let you take off on the second half because I'm interested to see what you have to say about it.
Okay, so following the field goal, the Patriots came out and had another 3-and-out, in which the Chiefs then had a 3-and-out. But here's where the Patriots' momentum began to swing. Mm-hmm. They blocked a Colquitt punt, which hasn't happened in a long time.
Hey, and I do want to say, this is something I found out today, and I don't know if you heard this. I don't mean to cut you off, Kris.
No, you're good, right.
But did you know that punt was actually designed to be a fake punt?
Really?
Yes, we were running a fake punt on that play.
So then Colquitt didn't know that it was supposed to be a fake?
I believe he did know it was supposed to be a fake. There was just so much pressure on him by the time he got the ball. I don't think he had any other choice than to try to kick it.
Wow. Because based on what I saw, his timing going through the entire thing, his grip on the ball never changed.
Right.
It looked like it was supposed to be a punt. That's interesting. Okay. But that would also explain the the opening up the middle, because then the blockers must have been trying to get outside for something.
And I think it might have just been a miscommunication, but I did read an article. But do continue. Continue about that.
Okay. You know what, though? Sorry, just going back to that, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. It was 4th and 19 right there. Why would you run it's 4th and 19, and you're ahead by 16 points. Why would you run a fake punt there? Okay, sorry. So the Patriots, with an extremely short field, turn around, 2 plays, put it in for a touchdown. On the following drive, Kelsey fumbles the ball.
Right.
And this was a legit fumble. But on this play, the referees blow their whistle and kill the play.
Which makes it down by contact.
Down by contact. And the Patriots had picked up the ball and were running it back. They would have returned it for a touchdown, or at least gotten down to inside the 10 before probably Cheetah would have caught him and tackled him.
Right.
So then Belichick then throws his challenge flag, and they get the ball because Kelsey had been ruled down by contact. Patriots get the ball there, and I believe it was on the following drive, they ended up having to use another challenge. I could be wrong there. But Belichick ends up using up another challenge, and he loses that one.
That was the Sammy Watkins catch for the first down.
Right. I think that was the drive before then. In either case, he ends up losing one of his challenges. So he's used up both of his challenges at this point.
Correct.
And after the fumble, the Patriots settle for a field goal. And so it's now 23-16. They're within a touchdown. So at this point, I'm extremely nervous because I know how Tom Brady is.
Right.
He's great. He's great at the end of the game, and we've seen 2 turnovers, much like the Patriots had in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
And we need the offense to either hold strong and start moving the ball and put up another point, put up another field goal, something, give us something.
Right.
Or the defense needs to hold strong. The defense held strong.
Absolutely did.
The Patriots got 2 more drives out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what? I need to go back to the field goal because it was on the field goal drive where Brady passes to one of the wide receivers, Myers, and he's out of bounds at the KC 5. Now, he was ruled out of bounds by the referee behind the play.
But it was clear he was in.
Yeah. Even on all of the replays they showed, he still had a good centimeter before the sideline.
Easily. It was very, very easy to tell that his foot was still in bounds. I mean, it was a touchdown all day.
And the 2 linesmen looked at each other, had a conversation, and they ruled that he was out of bounds.
Right.
The referees have been directed, not just for this game, this has been for the last couple of years, they've been directed to allow the play to continue, call it a touchdown, let it go to instant replay because all scoring plays are reviewed.
Correct.
And if they had done that, if they had called it a touchdown, it would have been reviewed.
Right.
And it would have been shown that he was in bounds, and we would have presumably a tie game here.
Yes,
However, he was called out of bounds at the 5.
Right.
And then on the very next play, Tom Brady gets sacked by Okafor for a 6-yard loss, and New England has to settle for a field goal. This scenario here was hugely impactful for the Chiefs because if New England goes in for the touchdown, they still have another timeout. And they're down by 3 with another drive to go.
Yes, and that's the position, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs want nothing to do with.
Yeah, I mean, you're with enough time on the clock as there was, you have to accept the fact that there's probably a very good chance that Brady's going to get the ball back and he's going to have time to drive it down at the end.
Right.
So the Chiefs get the ball back, and for whatever reason, we have a 3-and-out. And on this drive, Mahomes is throwing twice. He had 2 throws, and Shady had 1 carry.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I'm running the ball every single time.
Right.
Because what happens, now granted, Mahomes completed his 2 passes, but what happens if on one of those throws it's incomplete? The clock stops. Now, here's the other thing to take into consideration. At this point, our running game has been awful. We haven't utilized it the entire game. Now, when I say that we had 29 rushing attempts as opposed to 40 pass plays.
But still, let's be honest though, Chris. That's still an improvement for our Andy Reid-led team the last 10 weeks.
Absolutely.
So
it kept the defense honest, and they had to respect the run.
Right, which was great, and we controlled the clock.
Yeah, absolutely, and that very much worked in our favor. But on this particular drive, I would have liked to have seen them run the ball at least one other time, as opposed to Mahomes throwing it twice.
Right.
So we're 3-and-out. We have to punt the ball to the Patriots, who put together a 9-play, 63-yard drive, and they get all the way down to the Kansas City 5-yard line.
And so I have to say here, this was one of those moments where, like you were saying earlier, the Chiefs did not want to give the ball back to the Patriots with too much time because you knew what Brady was capable of doing. And so, here we are with Brady knocking on the door. He did exactly what we thought he would do. Now, could the Chiefs hold him for 4 plays without any penalties and keep him out of the end zone? That's the biggest test of the season in my mind for the Chiefs. And Chris, I'll go ahead and let you tell Chiefs Kingdom what happened, even though they already know. Go ahead and tell them.
Yeah. So, 4th and 3, and Edelman runs an out route in the end zone.
Yep.
He's all alone on that side of the play. It's just he and Breland. And Breland sticks his hand over Edelman's shoulder, pokes the ball out at the last moment.
It was perfect.
And secures the win for the Chiefs.
It literally was the most perfect defensive play that you could possibly have for a D-back on that particular play in the end zone. I mean, am I wrong?
No, absolutely. His positioning, his reach, he made no contact, especially with his offhand. He didn't grab Edelman. He didn't spin him at all. He just reached through and poked the ball all the way, and it was beautiful.
It was picture perfect, and hey, for a second I stood there and was like, "Is this real? Is this real?" I didn't know whether to cheer or not at first, but it absolutely was real, and that was the game. You know, that was a great way to end it. I didn't even expect the Patriots to come back in that manner. I expected the Chiefs to keep scoring. But needless to say, regardless, Kansas City came out of Foxborough, Gillette Stadium with a victory, against a New England team that is very much in the playoff hunt. And this secured our AFC West. And I do want to say to, all those fans out there that, you watch football and you might not know, everything about football, but when you clinch, a division title, it also clinches a spot in the playoffs for you. That's a fact. That's what happens every year in football. And now the Chiefs.
That's the perk of winning your division. You are guaranteed a playoff spot.
Right. Yes. And that's the thing, is that every team shoots for that division victory. It's that important. And now we're shooting for that first round bye. And in my mind, the second seed in the playoffs. And we'll talk about that here in a few. But look, we got the victory, Kansas City. We have a lot to look forward to. The Chiefs are now sitting there at 9-4, and we knocked New England down to 10-3. I would say Mahomes had a great day. He was 26 for 40 for 283 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Travis Kelce, again, this is about his average every week. I'd say maybe 75 yards would be his average, but this week is 7 receptions for 66 yards. Tyreek Hill, 6 receptions for 62 yards. McCall Hardman had one reception, which was a big-time touchdown for 48 yards. And the defense looked great. Rashad Braylon had an interception and that huge play to end the game. Okafor got himself a sack. Chris Jones got a sack. Frank Clark got a sack. All around, it was just a great game for the Chiefs and proved a lot to the NFL, especially on an AFC conference that's wide open. This was a huge win. It would not be a good spot for the Kansas City Chiefs right now to be in a playoff run and not have a secure spot with how close this run is, between 7-8 teams. So, but Kris, what is going on with the Patriots getting caught cheating again? They got caught filming, I believe, from a press box of the Cincinnati Bengals game, and then they said that it was part of the Patriots production team filming a documentary on what it was like to be an NFL scout. But they actually caught them with 6 minutes of footage from plays to play calling and just the way coaching signals, and then on top of that, when this employee got caught, the employee asked the security and the staff at the stadium if they erased it, if all of this would just go away. Kris, after Spygate, Deflategate, Robert Kraft, and everything that's happened, what do you think about this? Is it time for the NFL to, as I say, Belichick needs to be banned from football? Please tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so to just kind of clarify a couple other points here. The Patriots or this staff member was on the field and videotaped the Cincinnati Bengals sideline for the entire first quarter. And he was wearing, this particular individual, or this team, I'm not sure which it was wearing Patriots gear. When he was questioned, the individuals said that they were working for Robert Kraft, not the Patriots, for Robert Kraft.
Right.
It was a Kraft production, and it very much parallels what happened during Spygate. The exact same scenario, the exact same excuse. And there are too many connections to Spygate that parallel. Is it coincidence? Yeah, there's a chance that it could be. Could it all have been just pure happenstance? Yeah, that situation does exist. That could be the scenario that happened. But you were already found guilty of it once.
Right.
And it is really hard to look away and say, you know what, it was just a mistake, let it go. At this point, I'll say this: Belichick and the Patriots have been tremendous over the last 19 years in being consistent winners, putting out a very good product that is always competitive.
Right.
They have been the iconic franchise of the last 19 years. You've been so good at everything. Why are you being so bad at doing this? If you're going to cheat, be better at cheating and don't get caught at it.
I just feel like they don't care.
They don't. They are so arrogant that they think they're going to be able to get away with it. And if and when they are found guilty of the punishment needs to go above and beyond what happened during Spygate. It needs to be more than just you lose your first-round draft pick.
Right.
Belichick is fined $500,000. The Patriots get fined $250,000. It needs to be more than that.
Oh, for
the Patriots need to lose an entire year's worth of draft picks.
I completely agree.
Belichick needs to be fined triple, if not quadruple, what he was fined during Spygate. Same thing goes. The Patriots need to be fined more than $250,000. I don't understand how Belichick is fined more than the Patriots organization.
Patriots organization,
and they should have been fined more than Belichick. They should have been fined $2 million. So in this scenario, Patriots, they need to get fined $10 million. Belichick, $2 million minimum. They need to throw the book at them so that they figure out you do not ever want to do this again, or we're going to come after you, even more so than we already have. And you also need to set the tone of this will not be tolerated from any other NFL team. No other NFL team has done this to our knowledge or has been dumb enough to get caught. The Patriots are dumb enough and arrogant to get caught and say, so what?
All right. You going to let me talk a little bit, brother?
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I got fired.
You're good. But here's the thing. They've already had enough chances. I'm tired of fines. No fines. They need to go. Enough is enough. Here's my thing. When it comes to Spygate, Eric Mangini, a former coach of the New England Patriots underneath the Bill Belichick staff, became the New York Jets head coach. Eric Mangini went to Bill Belichick and said, hey, I know what you do. Just don't do it to us. You know what Bill Belichick did? He gave him the middle finger, and he did it anyway. Mangini knew that he was recording all these teams. Mangini called him out. He did it anyway, and then that's when Mangini went to the NFL and said, look, this is what's going on. We've had enough of it. And the Patriots got away with it, and they were caught red-handed. Then Deflategate. At what point does the NFL hand down such a hard suspension that they let the rest of the NFL know that cheating is not tolerated? Because as it goes right now, all the NFL done at all is slap the New England Patriots on the wrist. And that's it. If that. And so, to what extent do you think is a correct punishment, for a Patriots team that's not a one-time offender, not a two-time offender, but a three-time offender? And then especially with what's going on with Robert Kraft. And this is all under the same three trifecta: Kraft, Belichick, and Brady. Hasn't happened under... And actually, I heard it... I take that back, because I heard it goes as far back as Bledsoe. I read that today in an article, that this went back as far as Bledsoe. This was before Brady even came in the picture. And so, is this... Let's think about it in this aspect, Kris. And I really want to get your perspective on this, because this will be an interesting way to take this conversation. With how much they've been caught, Kris, how much do you think they've done that they haven't been caught for?
think that this has been standard operation of Belichick over the years, which is ultimately why. Because I mean, you think about everything that he does on field, off the field.
Yep.
He bends the rules and he pushes the limits. And whether he takes an inch, he takes a yard, he takes a mile, well, he is always pushing that boundary because he wants to win.
Right.
And I think that although he's been caught twice now with Spygate, now granted they now have tapes on 3 teams, so he's done it 3 times that we know of, but he's been caught twice.
Right.
And all the other stuff that's going on around him in the franchise, is I think that, and it's hard because you can't presume guilt without evidence. I mean, if we were to go into his basement and find all of these tapes, guilty as charged.
Right.
And then we really could throw the Pete Rose book at him. But until we have that hard evidence, we can't presume that he's done this every single game against every single team.
Yes. And, you know...
Now don't get me wrong. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck.
Right.
It's a chicken. You know, it's for darn sure it's a duck. But you have to have an incremental punishment. You can't throw the book at somebody a second time. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that it's very hypocritical to throw the book at somebody for gambling when it's hypocritical to throw the book at somebody for gambling, but then not throw the book at somebody who is cheating in the game.
Yes. Like, that's bigger than gambling. Bigger than gambling, in my opinion.
Exactly. In our opinion, I think that the NFL needs to straighten that out, and they need to have a punishment that fits the bill.
Right. Yeah.
Based on current rule, they will not ban Belichick. They're not going to blackball him. However, I think that if they find a flash drive, a secret room in his house that has all these tapes, absolutely ban him for life. Take away everything that like they do in the NFL, where they go back and they take away the wins, they take away this, that, and the other. They need to strip him of everything if they can prove that.
Well, they found it the first time, and Roger Goodell ordered all that stuff like burned and destroyed and all that crap.
Yeah, and that was absolutely the wrong move.
And it's just, then I find no excuse for them whatsoever. Like there's nothing left for me. Like, I mean, you got away with cheating for 20 years and you did an awesome job, and you got caught 3 times. 3 times, that's enough for me. Regardless if it's Spygate and then other Spygate and then Deflategate. I'm sorry, because it's the Deflategate doesn't take precedence away from they were still cheating. That still counts. They're not on their second strike. They're on their third strike. And really now they're going to be on their 4th strike if the NFL lets this slide, because all 3, Deflategate, Spygate, I'm going to say 1 and 2 now, they all have to do with cheating. And that's not the message the NFL wants to send. That's not how you win. You don't cheat to win. You play to win the game. Just like Herm Edwards said. He just said it a little bit more dramatically. But it's one of those things. Yes, it's one of those things that, look, the NFL's going to come down hard on him. And it's about time. It's really about time. And we're going to see here in the coming days and weeks really what's going to happen. And I'm sure there's going to be an investigation. And, hey, Kris, you never know. They might just pull up that room that you're talking about. So,
I honestly hope that they do.
You know, and me too. Like, I'd really like to see this get blown wide open, and it'll all make sense as to why nobody could ever stop a Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots. So, look, but the Chiefs beat them, and we just beat them, the other day. And I'm cool with that. 23-16, 4th straight division title. That's what the Chiefs did against a cheating New England Patriots team. So, moving on, we got a couple more things we're going to talk about here, but what about that interview with J.J. Burton? What did you think about that?
That was incredible. I shared it with everybody that I possibly could, even a couple of folks who aren't even football fans. And they all got something out of that interview, and it was really great to hear you ask the questions that you did and really get into a true conversation with J.J. Burton. And that's the thing I want to really point out, is that it was a conversation, not just an interview where you're just asking random questions. It was a true conversation, and I loved that it flowed so well.
It was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you putting together, some of the questions for that interview. It was a very personal interview, and I really enjoyed every minute of it. And, he felt comfortable, and he gave us some gems. And we were only supposed to have him for a half hour, and, we got J.J. Burton for over an hour. So it was a great situation. I'm really happy that it played out the way that it did, and I hope that J.J. Burton enjoyed it. So if you haven't heard that, go check that out. That was a few podcasts ago. I believe that was last Tuesday. Go check out the J.J. Burton podcast. It was a lot of fun. Great interview. Also go to kingdomradio.com and check out all of our exclusive content. So Kris, let's move on to the playoff picture here. This is going to be our last segment of the show. What are we looking at here? I see, I've got the percentages pulled up, and I've got our schedule and our remaining schedule. I have our chances at a bye week. We're sitting at 23% chance of a bye week, and then we're sitting at a 34% chance of playing the Bills. So let me ask you, Kris, what are we looking at here, and where are we sitting as far as this playoff picture? Because it's very, very interesting right now.
So we only have 2 teams in the AFC who have earned or solidified their playoff spot.
Right.
The Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
There is a very far outside chance that the Patriots could not make the playoffs. There's a chance that the Patriots, who are currently sitting in the 2nd seed, could lose out and not make or could end up being not just the 5th seed, the 6th seed.
Right.
Or even if they're the 5th seed, they'll have to go to a Buffalo Bills, to a Houston Texans, to a Kansas City Chiefs stadium and have to play and win there.
Which is the greatest scenario for any AFC team.
Yeah, the Patriots are going to have, if the Patriots are going to make it to the Super Bowl in that scenario, they're going to have to win on the road. They're not going to have a single home game.
Right. And so as it sits right now, look, we're looking at the Bills, Steelers, Titans, Texans, Patriots, Ravens, Chiefs. There's so many teams right now. Obviously, the Ravens and the Chiefs have locked it in. But the remaining teams that need to lock in a spot, there's some talent there, and it can go any way. It can go either way, and like you said, the Patriots could very well be on the outside looking in for the first time in, 17 years, maybe?
I think there was only 1 year where they didn't make the playoffs, but yeah. And
it's just... This is a scenario where the Kansas City Chiefs are very fortunate that we played the New England Patriots when we did. That was the right game at the right time, and things could be completely different for the Chiefs if we, were to lose that game yesterday. So
yeah, the road to the playoff, the road to the playoffs and the division title would become a little bit more challenging if we lost that game yesterday. but we still would have had a very good chance to solidify it. The Patriots, on the other hand, they've got 2 opportunities to absolutely lose games here in their final 3 weeks. They're going to be playing against the Bengals here this weekend, who, with Andy Dalton back, the Bengals are looking better. I'm not going to say that they're going to win, but the Bengals could be an absolute trap game for the Patriots here, in which they could potentially stumble. And if they stumble and lose, and let's see, the Bills are going to be playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That's going to be a very tough game. That could go either way. I'm not going to make a prediction there. But the Patriots are going to play the Bills here in 2 weeks. And with the Bills' defense and offense coming together, I think that they beat the Patriots there. And if they beat the Patriots, they could potentially hold the tiebreaker, or if it comes down to that for the conference or for the division, the Bills could win the division.
Which would be great. And all they really have to do is beat the Patriots. So, hey, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to speed this along a little bit. But, so, look, we've got 3 teams in my mind that are really bubble teams, and, 2 of which are going to make it, and that's the Steelers, Titans, and Texans. All 3, I would say 2 of which deserve to be in the playoffs with the Titans and the Texans. But which would you say, briefly, is the one that would give the Chiefs the hardest time? I'm sure you're going to say the Titans, but kind of give us your thoughts on that.
I'm going to go with the Titans, although the Texans can definitely give us a run for our money as well. They're probably the most close team that mirrors us on offense and defense in the entire AFC.
I agree, but it's weird with the Texans. They're either completely on or all the way off, and it just doesn't seem like you get an in between with the Texans.
Yeah, this past weekend, I don't know what the heck they were doing, but they should not have stumbled against the Broncos the way that they did.
Right.
I think that they definitely overlooked the Broncos and took Locke as a gimme win, and we'll talk about this more in our next episode. But the Chiefs cannot allow that to happen. We need to absolutely destroy Drew Locke, and welcome to the NFL appropriately.
Yes, and welcome to Arrowhead appropriately. He's a Kansas City native. It'll be fun to have him come in and get beat up, in his hometown. So look, the Chiefs have a 23% chance of a bye week. Like I said, we have a 34% chance it stands right now of playing the Bills in the first round. A 21% chance of playing the Steelers in the first round. And those are really our top statistics, and that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I obviously would rather have a bye week. But if we don't have a bye week, I prefer the Steelers, ahead of the Bills. So, regardless, it's wide open, Chris. We're wide open here. This last 3 weeks are extremely important. How important is it for the Chiefs to win out?
It's extremely important, especially with the Patriots potentially losing. That would slide us into the number 2 slot, because we would have the tiebreaker with the Bills. Although we haven't played the Bills, we beat the common opponent in the Patriots. And so we should then take that second slot.
And Baltimore. We have the Patriots and Baltimore.
Oh, and Baltimore, yeah.
So, yes,
you're right.
So we'll slide in there in that second spot. So, yes, and that's perfect. And I think that's what we really need to be shooting for, is sliding in that second spot and kicking the Bills back, and then we won't have to necessarily worry about them. It just depends on how it plays out, but at least early in the playoffs we wouldn't have to worry about them. So, as it stands...
There's also a scenario... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
There's also a scenario where the Baltimore Ravens could potentially lose their last 2 games against the Browns and against the Steelers. If the Chiefs win out, we would then be be tied with Baltimore, and then because we beat them, we would have the number 1 seed.
And that would, and that would work out great. we'll just have to see what happens. I don't really see Baltimore losing out. I would love to see that happen, but like you said, it's still up in the air 100%. The only thing the Kansas City Chiefs know at this second is we're division champions. And with that being said, we have our locked-in spot in the 2019 playoffs. And like you and I, Kris, have been stating all season long, our season here in Kansas City really starts in the playoffs. And it's been locked in. We're ready to roll. We got to get through these last 3 weeks, and look, we're gonna be in the dance, and we'll see what kind of splash we can make this year, and hopefully we'll get that trophy. Let's really make a push and let's go for it. We're in there now. It's over. We're in there. Nobody can take that away from us. So, Kris, do you have anything to add to tonight's show? We're going on an hour here, which I expect. Look, with me and you, hey, we could talk all night about Chiefs football, but do you have anything to add to this episode?
It'll take like a couple minutes, but do you want me to talk about the NFC East and that scenario, or do you want to just put that off?
It's really up to you. Whatever you'd like to do. If you want.
I'll run through this really quickly.
All right.
So the current situation in the NFC East is the Cowboys and Eagles are both tied for the division lead at 6 and 7. And they have a head-to-head match coming up here. There's a chance that this division winner could go into the playoffs with a losing record. And everybody has been talking about how the NFL needs to change things and they need to do a reseeding, blah, blah, blah. They're going about making this too complicated. What they need to do is just throw in a rule stipulation where if you win the division, but you have it with a losing record, and somebody is in a wild card with a better record than you, the better record then becomes the home team. They get the home game. Make it pure and simple, and it's just a stipulation if you win your division with a losing record. That's the only time where you then give up your home game status, and it goes to the wild card.
That'd be great. I could respect that. I like that a lot, actually. A lot. I think that would, I don't want to say alleviate a lot of issues, because I personally don't see a huge issue with it, but I like where you're going with that, because there is a more deserving team of a home game than the team who won a division with a losing record. And I feel like that's something that could be looked at in the NFL, and that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because we talked about it before, but we could talk about Chiefs, what happens.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was a great nugget. I completely agree with that wholeheartedly, and I like that, Kris. That's one you pulled out from underneath your sleeve, and you should write a blog about that. Send it to the NFL and see what response you get.
Right.
So, all right, Kris. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say? Because look, we did beat the New England Patriots just a few nights ago.
I probably need to hold on to my man card and not scream and yell as much as I am on the inside right now. But I just want to continue to say, Chiefs Kingdom, watch out for this defense. They are not done improving. They are going to continue to get better. And we're definitely hitting our peak. I wouldn't say hitting our peak. We're peaking at the right time. Everybody's coming back and getting healthy, who we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too worried about the running back situation, especially with signing Spencer Ware, and for him to step in and lead the running backs in snaps. Fantastic. We finally have a solid running back there who I truly do trust. And I'm not including Darwin in that. He's still developing. I'm not going to pass judgment on him. There's been a lot of question marks with Shady. Looking really good, you guys. Everything's moving in the right direction. Let's look to the playoffs, and let's see how this seeding falls out.
Yes, we're ready to get this done in Kansas City. So, we need a Super Bowl run. We deserve it in Kansas City. We finally got past the Patriots deep into the season too. That's usually it's easier for the Chiefs to get past the Patriots early in the season. We got past them deep in the season, and we've hit our stride. Let's just keep it going, Kansas City. We have Denver this weekend, and Kris and I will be on to do the pregame show here in a few days. Thank you for tuning in. This is Kingdom Radio. I'm your host, Richard Smith, with Kris Chavez. Kansas City, you have a wonderful evening, and Kris and I will speak with you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom Radio, your go-to podcast for everything Kansas City Chiefs.